So today we are talking about the very moment that my healing journey began and I transitioned from being a victim of workplace bullying towards surviving it and ultimately to becoming an ex-target. Hey, my name is Tammy Dennett and I am your communication coach who will help you master courageous conversation so that you can resolve these difficult things that are going on in your relationship without risking it, without risking the health of that relationship. And the whole goal for me ultimately is one, that you create a career where you are respected, appreciated, and empowered, but two, that you yourself are the one leading these changes and creating the results that you want. You're just getting out of the shower and you're heading down the hallway to your room and your uniform is there, you're getting ready to go to work, it's another work day, and as you look at your closet, the uniform's hanging there so neatly pressed and beautiful, your body starts to react. You start to tremble. All of a sudden you can't breathe. And your mouth goes dry. You collapse on the bed in sobs, fearful of what it means to put on that uniform and go to that workplace. That was me. That was me, and it was an afternoon. I was working on a return to work program. And in the mornings, I would go to the gym to work out because I needed that routine. And in the afternoons, I would go to work. Now, this was my fourth return to work in the same organization. And so you can just imagine 4 return to works. I mean, the signs are on the wall that this is not working. This pattern of take time off, take medications, go to therapy, come back to work is not working because I can't even look at my uniform and get dressed to go to the place that is making me sick. I called my doctor from my bed, and he had been offering me antidepressants throughout this whole journey, and I kept refusing them. I would take the medications for sleep and I would take the medications for anxiety, but there was just a line I wouldn't cross that for me, the antidepressants meant that it was okay to be numb if I was at work, and it was okay that work hurt me as long as I took the medications. And as a nurse, that hurt my friggin' heart. It hurt me to know that this is what our patients were going through. All those times I thought I was doing a good job, and not to take away from the job I was doing and other nurses, I know that those medications are needed, but I learned it from a different perspective. As a patient, I just wanted it to stop. And antidepressants, while needed, to me represented that it's never going to stop, and that wasn't okay with me. But in that moment, and I share that because in that moment when I called my doctor crying, freaking out from my bed because I couldn't even put on my uniform, he asked me, is this the time for those antidepressants? And I said yes. I said yes. That was a pivotal moment for me, and I want to share and go a little deeper into this moment with you because I think it might help both you if you're experiencing it and both you as a leader if you're responsible to creating an environment that's psychologically safe for people. Our pharmacist, so this is in the military, and the pharmacist happened to live in my area of town, so she offered to bring them to me. Thank goodness, because I did not want to get dressed to go to work, and the pharmacy was in the workplace, so that was just terrifying to me. So she offered to bring them to my home, and I remember opening that door and seeing this shock and horror on her face at who I became, what I looked like to her. And I reached out and I grabbed that little brown bag and I said thank you, and I closed the door. I'm sure I was crying in that moment too. I had been sobbing the whole day. There was just no controlling these emotions. And the anxiety and the fear I had of even just thinking about going to work just was hard to settle. And so I closed the door, and I remember sitting on my couch looking at this brown bag. I don't remember if I set it down or if I was just holding it in my hand, but I remember looking at this brown, nothing written on it. It's just this little brown bag with these pills inside. And inside of me, there was something that just said no. Now, I want to just go on record. I'm not advocating that you go against medical advice, and I do believe in medications. I just want to share with you my journey and what I was thinking. Because looking back, I definitely needed those medications, but I was still fighting. And I wasn't fighting against them anymore. And here's the switch. When I looked at those medications, if I were to say yes to them, for me, it meant that I was acknowledging that this is all I was ever going to get. That in order to work, I had to be numb to keep going to this place that was hurting me. And I'd already seen and heard from many people in the workplace who were already struggling with this, who were on antidepressants, who were taking medications for sleep and anxiety, just to go to work. Fundamentally, I had a problem with that because the problem wasn't my lack of sleep. The problem wasn't that I was anxious. The problem wasn't that I was fearful. The problem was with this relationship. So the solution was not there for me. And as I looked at this brown bag, I thought, damn it, if I take these pills, I'm never going to get the solution I need. And an interpersonal problem requires, in fact, it demands an interpersonal solution, because 4 stress leaves, remember, stress leave number 1, nothing was sorted out between us. Stress leave number 2, nothing was sorted out between us. Stress leave number 3, I receive a different supervisor, but it's a colleague of hers, so there's a loyalty in my mind to them. I couldn't trust the new supervisor. Nothing was solving between me and the problem person. I was just disposed into another place. So none of these solutions were creating change. So as I said no to myself, I started to think about, where's my power? And this is where the shift occurred for me. My power was in taking a stand that I deserved a safe workplace, instead of focusing on forcing them to see me as valuable, and forcing them to see me as capable, on forcing them to see me as worthy. I'd been fighting for so long to change their minds. I'd been fighting for so long to rewrite the narrative that she had written, instead of looking at me. I had lost where my power was. And this is really quite a common thing I've experienced with my clients, is that, we have this battle that we think we need to honor and we need to push in order to make others see things a certain way. And we lose where our power is. So in that moment, there was this is a deep value that came through that said no to those antidepressants. And again, I just want to share that I should have taken them. I do not want this to be considered as medical advice, because it is not. It is my journey. But in that moment, I started to focus on me. And this was the shift that I needed years before. And I know you're probably thinking, but I am thinking about me by standing up, by speaking up, by putting in grievances, by doing the things that you're supposed to do as an assertive communicator. But my efforts were focused on changing her. And for some of the context, go back and watch the first video where I talk about when I first found out I had a bully in the workplace. In my surrender, I stopped fighting. I just stopped fighting. My body forced me to stop fighting because I had nothing left. And that was the best thing that could have happened to me, because then my healing journey truly began. And I was able to put things into my life that supported me, because I had abandoned everything, because all I could do was think about the situation and how I was a victim. And my thoughts were consumed with conversations, with noise, that I didn't even function as a wife and a mother. I didn't even know how my family survived, to be honest. However, I'd like to share that moment really was a fast track way to healing, but I couldn't tell you that because it would be a lie. It was, though, the moment that I started to integrate back things in my life that I needed, that were healthy, that were supporting me and not taking away. So with that, if you're struggling, I talk to so many people who aren't ready to make this kind of a shift because they're still in the fight. And I remember being there. I remember being in the fight going, nope, there's no way this is going to happen. I'm standing up and I've got to do this I gotta make sure that the workplace is safe for others. I remember being in all of that impassioned battle. And if you're there, just know that your moment's coming. And I hope it comes sooner than later. I hope that you reshift your focus to you, to showing up in your power. So I'll just share with you a little bit. I will just share a little bit about what happened after that shift. I still had to go back to work. It wasn't a place I could quit. You just can't not show up because they put you in jail in the military. So working was always the plan. What I did was I advocated for a safe workplace. I insisted. I was not accepting no anymore because I'd been asking politely before, but this time I was insisting that they give me a safe workplace. I was entitled to it. Darn it, I deserved it. And when they couldn't come up with one, I didn't accept that as an answer. I came up with my own. And I worked in the library down the street. It was across the street, but it's still very close. We're still on the same base. But I was able to go to work there because I chose where I was going to work in a healthy place where I could not be harmed by her anymore. And they agreed to that temporarily, at least. As a result of that step, as a result of me insisting that I get a safe workplace, other things were happening behind the scenes. And then next thing I know, I'm actually getting a new work crew. I'm being moved into a new building. Nothing to do with this old office anymore. I have a completely new chain of command, new boss, new work environment. And in that environment, I was able to blossom again. So much so, my release was now in, and it's a 6-month process. So you don't just get to leave, as I mentioned. I think I mentioned. But 4 months into that process, I remember sitting around the table having dinner, talking about the good things in life, which 4 months before that was not even possible. But I remember sharing with my family how this new place was so amazing. But they basically took, like an injured bird flies into your window and you bring it into your house and you feed it and nourish it. That was me. That is what I often would tell them, as I was this broken bird when I came to them, and they nourished me back to health. And I worked with them for, I think it was a year. And this one time I was sitting around, coming back to the dinner conversation, and I was talking about how amazing they were. And my son, I tell you what, our children are so wise. He said to me, "Mom, if they don't hurt you anymore, why are you leaving?" And in that moment, I'm like, yeah, you're right. This organization isn't bad. There's a bad supervisor that nobody knows how to deal with, and nobody knows how to help me solve the problem. And I had things to bring to that problem too. I'm not saying it was all her. I'm sure you'll catch that in many of my other videos. I do talk about this, but to come back to that moment when he shared that with me, I'm like, why am I leaving? I love what I do. I love being a nurse in the military. I love all the variety. I love working with our members. And so I request to withdraw my earlier request to leave. And with all the background conversations and stuff that happened, that was supported. And I stayed in the military for several years after that. And I can leave it now knowing that it wasn't the organization as a whole, which is what we tend to do as victims. We blame the organization. It is the people that are in the places that are of critical importance that make the impact. And so in my bully experience, the people in those positions did not have the resources or tool set to help navigate this problem. In my new workplace, they had the resources to help rebuild me. It was beautiful. So with that, I want to give you a couple of resources that might support you with where you are today. And share in the comments below where you are in your journey. If you're just starting to think, maybe I do have somebody who's a bully, if you've got this chronic conflict that just seems to be unresolved and you're not sure how to deal with it, or perhaps you're on your survival and your healing journey. Let me know in the comments below where you are and what resonates with you. What I want to share with you next are some resources. The first is a free download. These are 10 safe conversation starters, and they are designed to help you implement a scripted response that will shut down offensive behaviors and open up a potential pathway to healthier conversations. And they cover 10 of the most offensive workplace behaviors that we see. So things like backstabbing, scapegoating, verbal assaults, they're all in there. So use these as they are written. Don't deviate off of them, because if you haven't been trained how to deviate them and make them personalized, you may end up creating more defensive response. But as they are written, they are intended to create a non-defense arousing response in the person that you're struggling with. Okay, my gift to you, because this is what I wanted when I was in your place and it wasn't available. The second thing is I do run a coaching program, and if you are looking for more personalized support, or we can get on the call, walk through things, help you when things are acute, not aggravated, help you when things are acute, like you've got this situation and you just need some support now. That was one of the things I struggled with in my own journey, is that I would have to wait between therapy sessions, and it was never when I needed it. Sometimes they felt inconvenient, to be honest. I don't want you to feel alone, and I want you to have support when you need it, where you need it. So there is a coaching program I offer, but it's by application only, because not everybody is ready to do this work. And I talk to so many people who are still in that fighting phase that they're not ready. But if you think you're ready, book a call. I'll have a link below where you can book a free 30-minute call with me, and we'll talk a little bit about your situation. We'll do a little bit of coaching, and then we'll see if this is going to be a fit for you and for me. We have to be able to work together. So that is also a gift I offer to you. I would love to support you. So check out the description below for that information. And remember, you are only one conversation away. Hit the subscribe button, the like and the share button. And I think there's even a bell button so you get notified when the next video is out. I will continue to share my journey. As the months unfold, you'll hear more about some of the experiences that I have had and endured, and how to identify when you are dealing with a bully. Until next time, make it a great day.